Okay. But, well, today I'm talking with Andres Muller. He's a speaker. Um, one the speaker, my favorite speaker, I have to say. Um, and he's awesome. And he's written how many books is it? How many books have you written?
Oh, I think it's quite a few. Meanwhile, 4 or 5, I think.
I couldn't count because you also write them in Spanish. I saw German.
Oh,
Um,
well, yeah, of course. I have, well, it's more books because I have some in German and they aren't translated into English. They are
oh,
all unique books. So
oh,
it's
I,
maybe nine
cool.
or 10 or something. I don't know. I mean,
Wow.
some of them are quite similar, the German and the English. They are
Yeah.
just not direct translations.
Okay. And your website's Timeless Wonder, right? Timeless Wonder,
Exactly. That's the website.
and
The
your
Timeless
YouTube
Wonder.
channel,
Yeah, that's exactly. It's also called the Timeless Wonder. Yeah.
and also that's your MMA name, MMA fighter name, right?
What does that mean?
It means like you're fighting, or these people that wrestle. They called they have their own name, The Rock. You know The Rock.
Ah,
You're the Timeless Wonder,
yeah,
like that.
yeah. I'm sorry. No, sorry. Yeah, some
No,
people
it's
thought
okay.
I thought I mean me with that. No, I'm
I
just.
couldn't help myself ask you that, but okay. Well, yeah, I want to
I
start with
am the
like.
timeless wonder. I am.
There you go. There you go. Can't beat me. Um, so I want to talk about Andres, the character before the shift or whatever. Did you have your feelings as a child or early adulthood? Were you was there a lot of neurosis, anxiety? Were you always calm like you are now?
Mm, yes, for a while, to be honest. Actually, as a kid, and I would say early teenager, this wasn't really like that. Probably it was underneath or something, but I had a lot of friends and I was well with the teachers and I wasn't shy or something. I was quite normal, I would say. And then when I was a teenager, then when I grew older, 15, 16 or something, I discovered the substances that I took with partying and stuff. And I still was quite confident because I totally enjoyed that. But when I came out of that, that's when I got very insecure and very shy. It is as if my world had been scattered for the first time because I totally liked this lifestyle that I was living, but all of a sudden, within weeks, it didn't work anymore at all. So, and then I was very insecure and shy, and neurosis popped up between 20 and 30, mostly, I would say.
Yeah.
As I say, they probably were there before, but very much undercover. I don't know.
Right. Under the substance and all that. And I mean, may I ask what kind of substances? What kind of drugs?
Well, of course, I was smoking weed for a few years, but quite constantly. And then for 2 years, I was trying out all kinds of other things.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And then
enjoyed it.
would,
The thing
uh
is, I totally liked it. I thought this was a good thing to do.
I wonder. Yeah, I
Didn't
wonder
work
why. Yeah,
out.
it's yeah. It can be very yeah, very drawing in. That lifestyle, very distracting. Yeah, distractions. And then you said in your 30s, did you start seeking? Was there seeking? Was
Well,
there?
actually, I was already when I was taking these substances. This was the first time when I got interested in stuff like happiness. What is happiness itself? What makes happy? What doesn't make happy? And so when this ended, this lifestyle in the early 20s, I just stumbled into spirituality.
Yeah.
I
And so
was
you
seeking
were,
for the same, I was seeking for the same thing,
yeah.
but just sober.
Yeah, you wanted God to give it to you, or whoever, or whatever. You wanted whatever to, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it starts with, uh, and then so you went right through spirituality. Because I hear some people say, oh, it's about getting the money. Let's get the money. And then my life will be fine. I'll get the money. I'll get the girl. Or,
Yeah.
oh, life's all about this. Life's all about no. And then they say, no, no, it's not about that. It's about experiencing things. And now it's about the memories of the experiences. And they go on and on and on and on until, and it's like a, whatever. And, but the message that the message, do you like the word the message? What would you call it? What do you speak of?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, well, I usually say the message.
The
Yeah.
message, whatever. Okay. And the message is that there's no one there ultimately. There's no center there to be happy, to get this, to get that. Um, do you want to say something about that? Is that kind of the end of it? The start and the end of the
Yeah,
message?
one could say so. Yeah, one could say so, but not as an intellectual idea or as a concept.
Hmm.
In my story, I would say liberation was the turning out, and in a way, turning out doesn't really catch it already. But it turned out that this I, this experienced center, it just didn't have any substance. It evaporated, if you want so. Yeah, and of course that ends all the seeking because it was only this I which was seeking. Yeah.
Hmm.
And it was a surprise. It was not what I was seeking
Yeah.
because I was seeking the same happiness in spirituality or before that in drugs, the same fulfillment that people seek, as you said, in cars, in job, in anything that the person potentially can seek in anything.
Yeah. I mean, there can be cars.
There
There
can,
can be.
that's the thing, there can be cars, there
Can be.
can be happy feelings. They
Yeah.
just don't fulfill anyone.
Yeah.
Well,
Um, that's the most difficult thing to see to see. I don't say realize because I know you don't like that word. To to receive the message is to see the no thing. You don't like the no thing. What?
I think, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. Like how do you, yeah.
Yeah, I think you said you started the sentence with it's hard to receive the message.
as
And
as a person,
it's
the person on the other side. Yeah, it's hard to talk to somebody like yourself because I gotta use the right words, or but for the other side, whatever you the other side of the screen to see, hey, look, nothing there. It's a donut hole.
I just thought it's not only hard, it's impossible for the person to see
Oh,
this. It's really, it's just impossible. But
yeah.
the person would turn impossible into hard, thinking that at least theoretically it could be possible to be God, but it's impossible.
It's so funny. It's funny, but it's oh my god, it's horrendous. It's terrible.
Yeah,
But
it's
at the
all
other
of
side,
that.
it's hilarious. Like it's funny. It's I don't know. I just found a lot of laughter. I found a lot of joy in it. Um, um, and I wanted to know this because I really don't know this word. Do you know what spiritual bypassing means?
Well, I know the concept, yes.
What is that concept?
Well, I think the concept is that well, it needs already a concept. Well, the concept is that there is, on the one hand, a long spiritual path that has to be lived or that has to be walked in order to attain real liberation.
Mm.
And then there are some teachers, or they do something which I call spiritual populism.
Ooh.
So they provide the seeker with simple answers, and then the hardcore seekers say that's spiritual bypassing. You are just trying to jump over important steps
Oh.
that you need to live.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I think that there are many people who think that this message is spiritual bypassing, that it
Yeah.
tries to be a shortcut, that it says you don't have to walk the long path, you can
Hmm.
take a shortcut.
Yeah.
But this would be
Yeah.
a misunderstanding.
And also, I get that it's a belief that they tell me it's this non-existential crap is a belief, and I don't want to get
Exactly.
into it with anybody. I don't want to explain to them. No, 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 it's not a belief, whatever. And would you? Well, how would you describe it? Is it a belief?
Oh,
Let me ask you
no,
that question.
no, exactly not. That's the thing. If it would be a belief only, one could almost call it spiritual bypassing because it's
Okay.
trying to use a simple answer.
Yeah.
But it's not a belief. It's not
No.
a teaching, even. It's not something that I discovered for myself. But it's this report, and I would say it's an honest report that this center, this felt center in here, collapsed by the turning out that it's not real. But this is not a belief. The person would turn it into a belief. The person would be here and say, is this true or not? Can I believe this or not?
Yeah.
And as this is the only thing the person can do, the person assumes that I'm doing the same, that I'm just using this belief as a shortcut, that
Yeah.
this belief is my technique to fulfill me.
Yeah.
And that's not how it's meant.
Yeah. And when that happens, it's just what's going on the person's. It's called I think it's called projecting onto Andreas, whatever I'm
Yes, one
feeling
could say so. The person is projecting itself onto
to you. Yeah.
me, thinking that I'm doing the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, the person only lives in seeking and methods, inventing methods to somehow feel fulfilled. And of course, the person thinks that this message is my method to tell it to myself, to tell it to others, to keep up those beliefs. There is no one, there is no reality, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not the case.
Right. Yeah. You don't go around every day to your grocery store guy or hey, no me, no, because uh, on your regular in your regular life. I mean, in your regular life when you
Oh yeah, I'm
yeah
in the daily life. I don't talk to myself. It's not only that I don't need to teach others, I also don't need to teach me, or to
uh,
live in this conviction that I need to tell myself constantly, this is not real, this is not real, I am no one, there is no one.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it doesn't, there is not this inner conversation going
yeah.
on.
No need for it.
No
Uh,
need and no possibility.
no possibility. But yet, you wake up every. Sometimes you wake up every day, and we do Zoom talks, or you do Zoom talks as a speaker.
Yes.
And what is that going on?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. That's just the direction that my life took, apparently. But it's not, it really is not about anything. It just is what apparently happens. And
Mm,
theoretically, it could be any other thing.
yeah. And when you started speaking, there was not many people showing up.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, there were one person or for years. I mean, I started in Germany, and I for the first few years I only did talks in German, and there was, as I say, one person, two people, no one. I did residentials with four people for years, and I
Wow.
never thought about it getting bigger, or it just was what happened, and it was.
Wow.
I
And you
never
kept
pushed
on.
it.
And you just kept on.
Yeah,
Or yeah, just kept on.
exactly.
And then you said sometimes half the people would walk out. There was walking out. People would walk out on you. They don't want people don't want to hear it, or for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And that's impressive, you know. Like you just um, not impressive, but it's interesting that you just kept on. Uh,
Kind of, yes. I don't really know why, because I also had event. Well, in the beginning it was easy actually because I just did it at my home. So when no one showed up, there was no big hustle, you know. I didn't travel somewhere, no one came. I just was at home. So that was all right. But yeah, for yeah, I never pushed it. I never regarded it as a job or a career or something, which it still isn't. I still don't regard it as that. It just is what happens.
yeah. And okay, so after, so do you feel like there was an after and before, like an after and before?
No, 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 not really. I don't feel like that. There was no before and there is no after.
Mm.
Only in the story, which is a kind of a report, kind of an empty report.
Mm.
But there is no feeling of that
Yeah.
something really changed from one thing to another thing.
So to
It was
speak of it,
fine.
we have to say we say sort of speak. So sort of speak when you were going through, let's say, the shift, it wasn't sudden. I think was it sudden for you, or did it?
Well, in the end is always sudden, but as a story, I had this fading out over 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
And of course, I felt as if I am someone. So on the one hand, it is a change, but on the other hand,
yeah.
it turned out that being me was the same wholeness than that's going on now. That's where there is no change.
Mm. Well, so now, is there things that you enjoy or not enjoy that is different from before? Like let's say a plane crash.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
terrible.
the word enjoying doesn't really fit.
Okay, I'm
But
sorry.
apparently the
I sent that question. Tell me about a plane crash.
well, well, I had a phase where I was quite deeply actually. I wanted to be a pilot, or I was very interested in airplanes. Let put
Yeah.
it like this. I had a very good friend who wanted to really become a pilot, and I just wanted to play pilot with him. But for 5 or 6 years, I went very deeply into that civil planes and panzer, and that's where my fascination about plane crashes came out of.
Yeah.
I think it's just fascinating,
Yeah.
phenomenal.
I told a friend yesterday that, I want to, I'm a little bit, there's a fear of flying here. And if I'm going to get on a plane, it has to be a big one, 300 people involved, because I want to make the news if it goes down. Just yesterday, but not in that sense. But that fascination. So okay, fascination with death. Was there ever a fascination with death on your side?
Yeah, one could say so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because this message can be very destabilizing for at times. And has there ever been people committing suicide by hearing it? I don't know.
Well, not that I know of. Not that I know.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe no one reported me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But not because no, not because of it. It could be
I
many.
don't, yeah, exactly. I would think so,
Yeah,
even if it, I mean, there is no real cause and effect either.
yeah, yeah.
So maybe it would be, well, yeah.
It would just be a projection onto the message that's why, or you. That's why you. Yeah.
So to speak. I mean, in the end, it would just be what apparently happens, and there would be no one able to stop it. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, the connection to this message, of the concepts of this message, would be conceptual.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so nothing ever really happens because of.
And anything that a person, their process is goes through, or it's like a conditioning. I think I heard it's conditioning. Like anything that I'm thinking, or how I think, or what I do, my behaviors, it's conditioning. I've heard programming,
Yeah,
um, narrative. I guess it could be a narrative. A narrative, like what? Like people want to know why you do the things you do, or not do the things you
absolutely.
don't.
Yes. It's almost a need for the person. It's almost a need for a narrative, a story to live in, a story to believe in, to know what
Even
goes
uh, oh, sorry to interrupt you.
on.
Yeah. So, yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just something else. Just because of this destabilizing, I want to say something about that actually.
Mhm.
My impression is that this message isn't even really destabilizing. My impression is it's only destabilizing of what's not real in the first place.
Mm.
I don't have the impression. Of course, some people meeting this message, there an apparent process seems to start, but when I look at them, I actually don't have the impression that it really destabilizes them, though they might feel like that.
Or are being told that uh, by others around them sometimes. Um,
Maybe,
uh,
maybe, but hardly because of their actual actions. It's just maybe because of the things they say.
oh, okay.
But my impression is that how they behave actually goes on quite normally in a way,
Yeah,
whatever that means. It's a
yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah. The story, yeah. And in the story, the only thing that changes is what comes out of people's mouth and the narrative again. Narrative, or we can call it whatever we call it. Even calling it a narrative is a narrative or whatever.
Yeah, narrative is fine. The story they live in, their narrative, their
Yeah.
truth, which they hope to be the truth.
Mm.
So the person usually tries to believe in its own narrative.
Mm.
It doesn't
Yeah.
really know that it's just a story.
Yeah.
Conceptually, it can, but it still hopes that there is a true narrative, one story that's true or close to the truth.
And ends up even not even their truth, but there is no truth. And but they don't know. They don't know that what comes out of their mouth is basically bullshit.
Empty words. I wouldn't call it bullshit, just empty words, not the truth.
It's the truth.
Bullshit would be too strong for me. But I know, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so is there a programming? No, you are the program of a person.
Apparently, there is a functioning body, and apparently, the body works with programming, functions with programming. The brain learned to eat, the brain learned to drink, the brain learned how to speak, how to behave more or less properly, all for no reason, but one could call this conditioning.
Oh, okay. Mhm. Some of it bleeds over, right, to the other side, to where you're at too. I would assume some
And
of it, some of the programming, or the programming, or the way you were raised, or uh, the person or the body. It carries over to after, uh, or does it?
Slowly, it seems
Huh?
that some things seem to be washed away
Oh, okay.
slowly over time
Okay.
because there's no one there who needs them anymore.
So then, okay, so then in that program or that narrative, then the idea of suffering comes to a person. And yeah, there can be pain. Physical pain is different. Psychological suffering. Let's talk psychological suffering. What is it? How is it? Why is it? What's your take?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't have a real take on it, but my assumption is that I think it's mostly part of a dream that there is someone in the first place. Most
Mhm.
of this psychological suffering. I mean, uh, I think most of us, most people are somehow traumatized or have somehow a traumatized body. But my impression also is that a lot of that just melts away when there is no one anymore. And same with
Yeah, that's true.
psychological suffering. I think a lot
Yeah.
of psychological suffering has to do with expression and repression and the dance around that and how should I be, and it's also combined with the search of to be a fulfilled me,
Mhm.
and on the one hand the not allowance to express or and the need to repress, and to
Mhm.
me this is all kind of personal games.
Mhm. Oh, I see.
The assumption
Yeah.
that there is someone who
Yeah.
needs to, and that kind of drops when there is no one.
Mhm. The narrative of being traumatized or narrative. No, I'm not traumatized because of it. I'm the man I am. Blah 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 blah. It's kind of like
Yeah, this narrative, yeah,
pointless. Or,
the narrative and the attempt to work oneself through life, through trauma, as a me, that I have to find a way through that. And I think this is a huge part of the psychological suffering, the attempt, or the assumption that I need to do it, that I
Mhm.
need to deal with it. And then it works partly and not really, and
Yeah.
so on.
Okay. Let me give
Yeah,
me a second, I guess.
yeah, that's fine.
Melissa, she's here. Sorry about that. Baby. I'm in an interview with Andreas Muller. Andreas Muller, this is Melissa. Hey. No, you're
Hello,
recording, by the way.
nice to see you.
And nice you're going to be in the video. Am I? Yeah. So should I start talking my non-duality with you? No. Well, sure. Okay, sure. Let's ask, you ask him a question. Let's try that. Ask him a non-duality question. No. When did you first lose yourself?
Well, it must have been, the story would be, it must have been around 2011. Oh, that's when I died. I had awakenings before that, but I
Right.
came back. I died early 2011.
And what made you die? Like what brought you to that moment? Didn't just
Well,
wake up and like bam, there it was?
no, I had this like a slow fading out for 2 years, and there is no answer to what brought me to this. Because on the one hand, one could say it was everything or
Yeah.
nothing specific. I can't say, well, it was this. So
Mhm.
it was just what happened. I didn't do it even.
Yeah. Right. It just okay, so continue. Okay. Is that it? Are you done? Oh, yeah, it's okay. No, 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 you're fine. You want to ask me one more question? One more? Yeah, sure. Okay, so you done. What did it feel like?
Well, there wasn't a certain feeling combined with that, but there was amazement and joy, I would say, and surprise. Not for me, really, not as a state, but I was surprised that it really is, as I heard, that there was no problem, that everything's fine, that
So how did you know you were going through that?
well, I didn't know that. No, no. That's the thing. In this last 2 years, I completely wasn't aware what's going to happen. I had a totally different story about myself and about what's going on. This was unexpected. That there was no, that I don't exist. That was not expected. I always thought something else. Yeah, some ego isn't real or stuff like that. But I never assumed that I myself don't exist. That was totally unexpected.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's easy to, yeah. And it's easy to understand, hey, I can never know another person. I can never know. And, but yeah, when it comes down to, it's easy to understand, I can never know me. But to jump to say the me doesn't exist, that's,
A
I don't
person
know.
can't do that. A person
Person,
can't do that, except it would be a concept, of course.
yeah,
Uh,
concept.
uh,
And then there's also, so then the idea of enlightenment, was that a big thing for you? Like you wanted to be enlightened? Not really.
well, yeah, I wasn't so much interested in the concept of enlightenment, but I thought enlightenment would be when I feel really, really good. And that's what I was looking for. I just wanted to feel really good.
Really good.
I,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
care.
At the end,
I
yeah.
didn't care if this was called enlightenment or anything else. I just tried very hard to be a happy person, a fulfilled
Uh,
me.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, at the end, that's kind of what we want, yeah. Or the person wants just to feel good and to feel good all the time.
Yeah, but in a deep way, loved and stuff like that.
Okay. Good. Is there another name for enlightenment? Is that what you're asking, baby? Ask him. Let's ask him. Well, how do you mean?
All right.
She asked a question. Is there another way for?
This is gonna sound so stupid. Isn't there another name? I know it's called non-duality, but it's also called, is it it's something starts with a K.
For non-duality or for
Yeah, it's like, well, it's for what he was experiencing, the awakening.
Liberation.
liberation?
No, it's very big in the Indian culture.
Kundalini?
Awakening?
That's energy. Kundalini? No.
Awakening, maybe?
No, it kind of sounds like what you said, like the
Kundalini is something else.
but it's
I think
That's
it's
similar.
also an experience, right? The Kundalini awakening or something.
yeah. Kundalini, yeah. So okay,
Maybe self-realization.
so let's talk about that. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We'll find that word again. But tell her or explain how it's just an experience, another experience.
Well, it's just in the end, there is no such thing as enlightenment or liberation or self-realization or fulfillment or whatever. It's actually just a hope of the person that one day there will be an experience that really fulfills me, or that one day I will be in a state of constant and conscious fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And these others are just names for that. The person then says, this is what I call enlightenment or self-realization.
Yeah, and
Actually, it doesn't exist.
So it's
And I
kind
think, and I think most people don't even have a name for that. There's just an underlying feeling of, I'm moving towards something else. Something will still happen in my life. Something, yeah, I'm just moving towards something. It's moving the real thing. They
so
don't
just a
even,
constant state of happiness.
for example, yes. I think that's
to
what
reach that, to reach that,
But how can
we want
you?
to reach it.
But how can you reach that if there's no self?
yeah, that's what I mean. It's
Exactly.
impossible. It's an invention of the person. The assumption that one day there'll be a state where I'll be constantly happy. It doesn't exist.
I'm constantly happy till somebody makes me mad.
Well,
usually,
yes,
usually
of
me,
course.
but
Yeah, I have a higher threshold of happiness
yeah.
until I get irritated, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
a little bit more, but
But the fantasy or the illusion is that you'll always be there. That you'll always be happy no matter what's happening, or or that it's all going to be.
Well, the dream starts that there is no that there is someone now here who is not fulfilled.
Yeah.
That's when the dream starts.
That's it. That's the dream or the illusion. That's the and the message is before that it's already it never existed.
Yeah.
Never existed. Yeah, never existed. Not even before.
Yeah. There was no before.
Then how did you get here?
Well, I'm not here. I died.
So if I pinch you, you're going to feel it. There's a feeling. If you
Yeah,
break
but
your
not
arm,
for
you
it.
feel it.
Yeah, but there is no one in here experiencing that feeling. Of course, the body will feel. Would I punch back? I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't.
I'm sure you would fight back if somebody was robbing you or beating you.
Yeah, that's possible. I would say, oh, maybe I just sit there. Oh.
You're like, I'm not here.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
That would be sweet. Yeah.
You're like, there's nobody you're kicking. No, stop.
Why did? God.
Sorry, I'm trying to understand it. I still can't wrap my head around it. I'm just,
Oh yeah, of course.
I try to be understanding,
Yeah.
but it's hard when you're not at. I hate to say this, but not at that level.
And I knew you were not gonna like that word, and that's why it's like hard to even talk sometimes.
What word? Level?
Because I would say Andreas is in a higher level than me, but I know that's bullshit too. So explain. Are there levels? Yes, you're.
Because I'm constantly happy. So I mean,
yes.
Wouldn't that be pretty much the same thing if I just have a constant state of blank mindness and just like everything's okay?
Oh, yeah, everything is okay already, exactly as it is. So it's not about state. So I'm not in a level and you are not in another level. So you are just what apparently happens and I'm what apparently happens, and nothing is higher or lower or better or worse. It's just exactly as it is. So fine, all good. Nothing to think about, nothing to attain. It's perfect already, exactly as it is. And I mean it like that.
Yeah.
You don't
It's,
even need
okay.
to hear that. It's already perfect. You don't need me to say it's perfect. It's perfect already.
So it's not a belief, which me and him talked about that. It's not a belief. So what do you feel like that happens when your body's gone? Where will you be?
Well, I can't answer that question because I'm already not there.
Ah, okay.
That which makes the difference between now I'm alive and
right.
at
And
one
then you're
point I'll
gone.
be dead. That is just not real. That's all.
And then.
So if you were suffocating to death or you were getting ready to die in a fire, you would not. It wouldn't bother you because you're not really there. I'm just trying to grasp it in my head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the body would feel pain and I would shout out of pain, but I wouldn't say, hey, no, I need to be here still because I want to have so many beautiful experiences or stuff. Yeah, and of course, it wouldn't matter. It would just.
Okay, let's go into unconditional love. You can hang out for this, and then we'll wrap it up. So unconditional love. Let's talk about unconditional love because there's confusion about that. Unconditional love is sometimes described. Would you describe it as that unconditional love?
Oh, it's exactly what I just said. That you are as you are. That I'm as I am, and that's him.
No love involved.
Well, that is unconditional love.
Oh, I see. Okay, you're out. Yeah, and if you burn up, like she was insinuating that you would, there would be.
I'm not saying you go to hell. I'm just saying.
Oh my God!
I'm not. I'm not saying. I'm just talking about like if there's like a house fire
No,
or
of
something.
course,
I'm
of
just
course.
trying to make you. Yeah.
And then the unconditional love comes in, and because it is what it is. I'm burning up. It is what it is.
Oh, yeah, but it's not a position. It would still
Yeah.
me feeling pain and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
So there isn't anything in here saying, "Oh, it's unconditional love," in order to make it acceptable. No, it would just be what it is.
Okay.
So you don't never feel. Wait a minute. Okay, question. Personal question. Are you married?
No,
Have you been in love before?
or I have been.
You have been in love.
Of course.
Okay. So that feeling of being in love, I know you remember it. Is that compared to what you feel now?
For everything. For
Well,
all of
no, it just was what apparently happened.
Yeah.
So it wasn't more or less
So
special.
it's a different feeling
Yeah,
of love. But you say you constantly feel like love, enlightened. And you know, like when
no.
you're in love,
Oh no.
you feel
No,
that enlightened, like happy state.
No.
So that's not the
no,
same state that you
no,
feel.
not at all. Because this would be conditional. Then it would mean that love only happens when it feels like love.
Yes.
No, I just feel as I feel, and that can potentially be anything. And the surprise is that it's kind of fine.
Yeah.
That's all. It's very normal. Sorry, what we talk. I'm not in a high position or anything. What I talk about is utterly normal, and it doesn't need anything.
To you
So,
guys. To me, it sounds like I don't get it. I'm trying, but just not there. Sometimes I'll mess with him
Yes.
and I'll say, but you're not really here. There's
yeah.
nobody here. He's like, you're right, it's not. I'm like, no, you're not. So it's okay for me to go over here and go shopping and spend all this money because you're not really here.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
See?
Okay. Yeah, but it's like yeah. He knows what all that is. Just a bunch of layers of overlays and well, we're almost up, so I want to thank you, Andres, for your time. And
I like to be able to come back with you and do a couple questions once I try to establish it a little bit more in my head and figure it out. I'm gonna come back and drill you a little bit.
tell her that she'll never figure it out. Never.
I will. I bet you I'll figure it out before everybody else figures it out.
Okay.
You guys just think you know, but you don't really know.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Good luck. Thank you, Andres. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the
All right.
invitation. Thank you.
That was awesome. I'll send you the link. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.